Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something truly special. We're unpacking the story of one of America's last 150-year-old family-owned apple orchards. We're going to explore this sprawling landscape that has been producing crisp apples, homemade cider, and deep-rooted family traditions since way before industrial agriculture transformed the country.
Picture this, a blanket of fog drifting slowly across rolling hills. Long before supermarkets were even a thing, families here trusted the seasons and the soil to bring each harvest to life. Imagine the first golden light of dawn filtering through branches just heavy with red, green, and golden apples. The aging orchard owner steps out of an old farmhouse, carrying a weathered basket. All around the property, morning dew glistens on thousands of apples. You've got wooden ladders leaning up against incredibly old trees and this beautiful antique red barn overlooking the whole shebang. The owner gently picks the first apple of the day, examining it with hands that know this land inside and out.
To really grasp this incredible legacy, we'll follow a quick roadmap. First, the roots of the orchard, then rhythm of the seasons, followed by the art of growing. After that, we'll look at the threats to family farms, and finally, an uncertain future.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Roots of the Orchard, a look at 150 years of family heritage.
Think about this timeline for a second. Generations ago, the founder planted the very first trees here, and there are actually historic family photographs and old newspaper clippings celebrating those early harvests. Fast forward to mid-century, the family was weathering literal, devastating storms, but they managed to protect the oldest varieties while carefully planting new ones. And today, the fourth and fifth generations are at the helm, carrying that deep respect for the land right into the modern era. It's a literal family tree.
There's this profound belief the founder had that I absolutely love. An orchard is an investment not just for one lifetime, but for many. This definitely wasn't about turning a quick profit or flipping the land for the next big venture. It was a deliberate, conscious choice to plant something they knew they might personally never see reach its full potential. Every single tree tells the story of the people who planted it, nurtured it, and completely trusted future generations to keep the work going.
Moving right along to Section 2, Rhythm of the Seasons, exploring the yearly cycle of the orchard. It's kind of wild how every single season demands distinctly different skills from the farmers. In the spring, the whole place comes alive with blossoms covering the branches. Summer brings intense heat, which means constant, grueling pruning and irrigation. Then autumn hits, and it is just non-stop, bustling harvest activity. Finally, winter rolls in, blanketing the dormant trees in snow and a deep silence. Maintaining thousands of trees year-round requires an unbelievable amount of sheer hard work.
But through all of that, the family has learned some serious patience directly from the land. There's a great saying here: the orchard teaches you that every season has its purpose, even the quiet ones. In a modern world that demands instant results, the orchard strictly enforces its own timeline. That quiet, freezing winter is just as crucial for the trees as the busy autumn harvest. It's a total masterclass in patience.
Okay, Section 3, the art of growing. Let's take a look at a day in the life of a farmer.
Caring for these historic heirloom trees is basically a daily blend of science and inherited intuition. First up, you're carefully inspecting delicate blossoms and monitoring tree health. Then comes the seriously arduous task of hand-pruning branches for optimal growth. Later, picking the apples right at peak ripeness, which has to be sorted entirely by hand. And finally, pressing that amazing fresh cider and packing wooden crates. It's a meticulous sequence that turns intense physical labor into an art form.
Because of all that care, a single apple tree isn't just a plant. It becomes an irreplaceable living record of the family's history. We're talking about historic trees that were actually planted by the original founder. Trees that somehow survived massive, devastating storms. Branches that generations of kids have climbed, and even memorial trees planted in honor of lost loved ones. The apples from these specific trees, they're often used for family recipes passed down for over a century.
But it's definitely not a closed-off fortress. The harvest totally bridges the gap between agriculture and the wider public. It's all about community connection. The orchard hosts school field trips, lively apple festivals, and hay rides. Families come together to pick apples, enjoy fresh cider tastings, and hang out at local farmers markets. It's an incredible shared space where new community memories are baked in every single fall.
Unfortunately, it's not all sunshine and cider. Let's look at Section 4. Threats to family farms, and what farming looks like in a changing America. The reality is, there are some really heavy, interconnected modern challenges pushing family farms into decline.
sometimes leaving abandoned orchards to just return to the wild. You've got intense pressure from corporate farming driving down prices with imported produce. Climate change is introducing wild, unpredictable weather that can wipe out a harvest in a single afternoon. Throw in severe labor shortages and skyrocketing land prices, and it becomes incredibly tempting, or even absolutely necessary, to just sell the land to developers.
It's a pretty stark contrast in philosophies. On one hand, you have 150-year-old family farming, which is all about slow, patient, generational preservation and caring for individual trees. On the other hand, you have the modern agricultural machine, hyper-focused on immediate yield, fast-paced corporate output, and cheap imports. These two worlds are increasingly at odds today.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, an uncertain future and the struggle of preserving the legacy.
As the aging owner looks toward the future, succession is a massive question mark. Younger family members face the incredibly difficult choice of whether or not to carry the torch. Will they even want to take on the backbreaking physical labor? They have to somehow navigate the harsh financial realities of modern farming, figure out how to preserve precious heirloom varieties, and juggle the growing need for agritourism just to make ends meet. That is a heavy burden for the next generation.
There's this incredibly poignant thought on exactly what gets lost if a historic farm is sold. You can replace a building in a year, you can't replace a 100-year-old apple tree. That really hits home, doesn't it? If a barn burns down, sure, you rebuild it. But a century-old tree requires 100 years of time, weather, and deep roots. Once a farm like this is paved over, that living history is permanently erased. You just can't buy that back.
So, as the final autumn basket is carried into the barn and the sun starts to set, the workers head home and the orchard grows completely quiet. The immediate work is done. But as that crisp air settles in, this haunting question really lingers. Who is going to step up next to care for the trees?
As winter blankets those endless rows of sleeping trees and profound silence, we have to deeply consider the human element behind the food we eat. Can this enduring bond between people and the land actually survive a changing America? An orchard is built entirely on faith, the faith that the trees planted today will feed families tomorrow. As long as one family continues to care for these branches, the harvest of generations never truly ends. But will that faith be enough to save America's family farms, or will the harvest finally end? It's definitely something to chew on the next time you hold a fresh apple in your hands.